No, I'm gonna focus.
Alright, ready?
Hello. People in the back, please come take a seat. Plenty of seats.
Hello, come one, come all. Welcome to the San Francisco Ethereum meetup. We've got a great show ready for you guys today. We have got Balanc3.
Give it up.
We've got Pryze giving away a crypto kitty. Yeah. You have your very own adorable cryptographically secure friend. Welcome, guys. I'm Zane Witherspoon.
I'm Matt Quinn. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you. And we're co-organizers of the San Francisco Ethereum meetup. So thank you all for coming out. We really appreciate it. We know this one was posted on a little bit of short notice, so we really appreciate the turnout. There's lots of pizza and beer all around, so feel free to make yourselves comfortable. Let's take a second to appreciate this beautiful space that we're sitting in. This is Digital Garage, our venue sponsor. Come around the applause. And we have another sponsor today, one small fish you may have heard of called Consensus.
Swag bags. Does anyone get a swag
They've got swag bags over here on the side. They've provided the pizza in the back, as well as the beers and beverages you see on the side. So everybody give a round of applause. We're going to give them a chance to come up and say a few words.
Thank you very much, SF Ethereum. The best kind of SF, the Ethereum kind. Alright, so my name is Ron Patero. I work with Consensus, and I'm not here alone. We're a growing team. We have several other people now with Consensus. Anyone here with Consensus, please take a stand up, so folks can see. Alright, so we got our new community manager. We got Balanc3 in the house. Where's Alex? Alex here somewhere too. Alex up front, doing the good work. Cool. Alright, so before we start, who here knows what Consensus is? Please, by show of hands. Keep those hands up. Alright, so pretty good. We're about, say, 70%. It's good. So, going to tell you a little bit more context about Consensus for folks that know, and folks that don't know, it'll be totally new for you. So, Consensus was founded by Joe Lubin, who's one of the co-founders of Ethereum, and he started Consensus actually before Ethereum even launched, as a way to get stuff built on Consensus, or on Ethereum, so that we can prove out use cases and have adoption, and prove the mission that Consensus has, basically to build a new decentralized socio-political economic operating system for the world. Disrupting everything from governance to finance to business. And so that's what we're doing. So it started basically just a research company of just hiring awesome people and letting them do whatever they want to do, give them free leeway. And out of that spawned some of the things you know and love, like MetaMask, which has 250,000 users now, and probably a few extra 10,000 thanks to CryptoKitties, their explosive growth. Truffle and Fura, a lot of tools you know and love. And yeah, so one of the things we do is we provide a lot of jobs for people to come in to work in Ethereum. And that's for companies and for individuals. So for companies, they have different ways that they could join Consensus and work with us and help get that on-ramp into Ethereum. One of them being joining as a spoke, where there's a very tight relationship. We also now have a venture capital function. And we also have a third service, which is called Token Foundry, which delivers the thing that everybody's been asking for, which is, can you help us get our token live and out in the market? So, very happy to announce that, want to step on stage real quick? One of our, make a big announcement that Pryze is going to be working with Consensus, Token Foundry, to move forward and bring Sweepstakes to the world. So, take it away, Peter.
Thank you.
Honored and excited to work with these guys, some of the best in the world. And on our website, obviously, supported by Consensus, front and center. Just because of the great work that they've done and their experience in the space, which is unmatched, right? So, very excited to work with them. Stepping back, who here has heard of CryptoKitties? Anybody? Show of hands. It's okay if not. It's going to change the world. So CryptoKitties obviously hit the market with a storm, and it's kind of this fascinating idea of being able to have something digitally and have it recorded, right? And no one can take it away from you. It has a fingerprint. It's this idea in cat form that we've all fallen in love with to some degree. So along those lines, we saw this, and obviously we're doing giveaways, and we just got really excited about giving something away. And a couple of days ago, we acquired Snappy, and she's become a part of our family. But if you love it, let it go, right? That sort of idea. So long story short, Snappy can be yours if you want to. This is the link to sign up, join.pryze.com/kitty for CryptoKitties. You also can check out our app on the App Store. It's Pryze Mobile on Android and iOS. Excited to join them in this distributed sort of environment to be able to do giveaways that are verified. So that's the plug, and that's the kind of fun part. Backing up, I'd love to tell you guys a little bit more about Pryze and how the idea came about and what we want to do. So if you think about any kind of game or contest that exists in the world right now, you often have to put it into someone's hands to run, right? It's centralized. There's some authority that's taking tickets, they're taking entries. They're the ones that get to make the choice. They're the ones that say if they gave it to the person or not, right? We have lotteries, obviously, which are run by states and hopefully regulated. Hopefully, no malpractice there, who knows. But for smaller things like sweepstakes, there's no real guarantee. And until this point in time, we haven't had the ability to run code on something that wasn't run by me or wasn't run by you, right? There's this idea of my place or your place for servers, right? Is it my server, is it your server? Enter Ethereum a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago, or God, I don't know where we're at this point. But now we have this idea of being able to share servers, to be able to share code that's running that's provably fair, that can take money, that can pay money, that can prove that it did so, and that it can't be undone. So we basically with Pryze are bringing these two concepts together: the concept of being able to provably run a game, and then taking the existing games that we see in the world, like sweepstakes, like X-Prize competitions that change the world, and making them fair. So the mission is to make these things transparent and distributed. For now, we basically give away kitties, and please enter, and would love to see you there. So my background is technical. Hopefully, if we do some Q&A, I'd love to talk more about the technical gritty details. I've been a programmer for a while, and that's been my passion. I wrote all of our blockchain code and things like that. So we'd love to dig into that later. But if you get a chance, please sign up. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to give you our kitty, even though it will be very sad for us. And yeah, anything else? No? Good? Zane?
Do we have any questions from the audience about Pryze? I have a question, actually. How do you guys get your entropy for deciding who wins what?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you check out our white paper, we actually propose 4 sources of randomness. The kind of easiest one to describe is you roll the dice on the chain. So if you roll the dice on the chain, you can use the hash of the block, right? Which is quasi-random. It's actually manipulable because a miner can choose to not use the golden knots. So my background is mechanism design. It's game theory of actually proving what's called incentive-compatible mechanisms, which basically means at a fundamental level, are you willing to cheat, right? Or is it in your best interest to do the right thing, is what incentive-compatible means. So what we say in our white paper is as long as the prize value, the Y, of course, prize, is below $300,000 fiat, US fiat, although right now that's probably 600,000 or whatever. But as long as it's below that amount, a miner is not incentivized to discard that nonce because of the block reward they get for discovering that block. In other words, they are not willing to roll the dice again versus taking the reward for that block. So with that, with the randomness method of just rolling the dice on the chain, we argue that that's actually incentive compatible for prizes of reasonable rewards and probability distributions. So we can do other things like hardware devices. We can do other things like even the traditional like we choose, of course, for backwards compatibility purposes. But realistically, that's kind of how we see the world going. And as long as those prize amounts are reasonable, it's a very sane algorithm. Yeah.
Hey,
What's that?
Nick.
Nice.
I'm just curious, what kind of industries are you hoping will adopt something like Pryze in the future?
Yeah, great question. Man, my entrepreneurial brain starts to go wild with the possibilities of where we can go and what we can do. I mean, you start to think any game, any competition, and then in my mind I'm like, that's everything. We're all just playing games, right? So I see it being any time two entities or things are interacting, I would like to be there. That's kind of our mission. In the short term, right, we have sweepstakes. Sweepstakes alone is a tremendously large industry. We have X-Prize style competitions, also tremendously large. You go with those worldwide, and you're talking a huge market. That alone, if we could tackle and we could get this into provably fair, if we could say to consumers, hey, your entry actually mattered and it counted and it was fair and nobody, you weren't hosed, and we start to build this trust in a technology that honestly has been surrounded by distrust, ironically, we can bring the whole industry up and start to pervade into all kinds of different stuff. And yeah, that's the goal. Yeah. Good question. Anybody? Sherry?
I think you should talk about X-Prize and what we're doing on it.
Okay, so X-Prize style competitions are like longevity prizes. So what happens is somebody's like, hey, here's $500,000 or here's $1 million for anybody who can go and basically improve blood pressure, right? So if you can prove that your technique improved blood pressure better than anybody else's, here's $1 million for you. It's an extremely inspiring thing for things that are hard to accomplish. And oftentimes the prizes are like $10 million. These things get very big. The difficulty in something like that is you have to come up with a mechanism, right? Sounds familiar? To come up with a mechanism to fairly distribute that prize. In other words, how do you define who wins, and can you do so in such a technical manner that you can program it? Blockchain and Ethereum, which didn't exist in the past, now gives us the ability to write that into code. So we can say from a data source or an oracle or something like that, which of these did win, right? And we can make the payout decision based on that, and then you improve the system, you improve all the participants, and they're inspired because they know that they'll be treated fairly. So what we want to do is bring just like sweepstakes, we have a game, we have any contest like that, we can use data on the chain or off the chain. We can have certified judges, right, that actually submit their votes transparently. We can improve the whole industry and hopefully both the causes that it helps and the amount of money that is put into it, anytime we want. Another nice element of that is people on the chain could contribute to these X-Prize style competitions, even if they didn't start them, right? You could say, here's another $100 for somebody who does solve this because it hits home to me. So it's a little bit more of a social, on enterprise than sweepstakes. We, as a company, we like the fact that we're attacking both angles, and that'll be sooner in the roadmap as well.
So I really want to win that kitty, man.
Yeah, what's up? Snappy, sir.
I really want to win Snappy. So I entered my name and my address on the form, and then I went to the next page and it said, enter your Ethereum address. And then I thought, where's this going to be saved, my name, my address, and my Ethereum address? Is it on a centralized server somewhere? Is it encrypted?
Yes, great question. Yeah, awesome question. That's why we're all here, right?
Because that's like a permanent record that address is attached to that guy somewhere.
Yes, great question. So before I answer that, let me give you the catch-22 that is our side, right? The catch-22 is obviously we can't put this into the chain because it's transparent and everyone would know. The other flip side of the coin is we still need to record it. We still need to remember it. We need to give you your kitty, for example. There's some regulations that we need to abide by. So we can't just discard it. Right? So the solution, as hopefully is obvious to a lot of people in the crypto space, is you kind of do a little bit of both. You want transparency that your entry mattered, but you don't want your data exposed. So what we do is we take your data and we store it in traditional manners, right? We encrypt it on our servers. We don't let anybody access it, right? All the traditionally kind of safe sort of things. But on the flip side, we also hash your data and we inject it into a chain, right? So that we can say to you, hey, your entry number here, you can go to this node address, you can verify that your entry counted, because you know your data, you can do the same hashing and you can verify it, right? And you can do that anonymously, so we're not returning data based on who's asking, right? So you can go to that address, you can hash your data, and you can verify that you're entered, but none of your data is exposed, right? It's a hash of all of it. So yes, it's still subject to the fact that the data has to live somewhere, right? That's kind of unfortunately an axiom of the nature of the regulations and things like that. But it's as safe as it would be if you entered it anywhere else, right?
So let's say instead of a kitty, it's $1 million.
Yep.
And then just like what's happening with Coinbase and the IRS, can the IRS then come to you one day and say, hey, you should unhash all those things for those $1 million winners?
My advice.
Is that a possibility or?
My advice would always be follow regulations of all sorts, right? Who knows what's going to happen? Our goal is certainly not to avoid any of those regulations. It's to be transparent about that kind of stuff.
Right, but what I guess what I'm saying is it possible, or is there a possible deniability on your end that it's encrypted, we don't have access to that, versus here you go, it's the IRS, it's fully plain text.
I mean, I think I have to answer that by saying we will participate with legal authorities, to be honest, right? I mean, that's our goal. The goal is to be there. Good, fair, totally fair question.
Totally fair.
Yep, totally fair question. Yeah. What's up?
Well, first off, where's your underground layer going to be? Okay, so let's say that I'm taking the non-super crypto user case, because I totally understand that you can give away a crypto kitty or some ether or Bitcoin or whatever it is. That has zero approachability to the average user, just the way that email has zero approachability to the average user when there were no networks anywhere.
Yep.
So I work for Cisco, and I want to give away $100,000 or $1 million, whatever it is, straight up Pryze, and I want that to be approachable to an average consumer. How can I interact with you? Because I am never going to go through the miserable funnel of convincing all of my suburban moms to get crypto wallets.
Yeah, awesome question. Fantastic question. So the Ether wallet that we ask for is actually optional. We can make it optional. So it's our partners' choices and it's the sponsors of the sweepstakes choice whether or not to require that. If you're giving away a traditional prize, you actually don't need that, right? You get the same guarantees for transparency in terms of accepting entries, in terms of fairly picking a winner, all of those sorts of things. You get all those properties even without a wallet address. So we actually see ourselves as being on really the frontier of the super nerdy that wants that and lives there, and the Betty in Ohio, who's my mother, so I can say that, her not knowing what that means, right? We actually start to be able to serve both and hopefully merge both over time as, Betty in Ohio wants that prize of some ether, right? Or wants that prize. So she's willing to go and get that because she got there because of the $100,000 from Clorox or whatever. But now she sees that other thing, and now she's a crypto user, and we just introduced her to Coinbase, right? So it's a fantastic business proposition. So hoping to serve both.
Hey, so very interesting project. Really excited to see Pryze grow. One of the things I'm kind of curious about, so my previous life was in the advertising world, and one of the things we deal with were contests a lot of the times. And big problem with contests is you have to basically set up the laws and regulations and make sure you're abiding by things from a state level, sometimes even from a county level. So are you seeing Pryze as more of the white label product on top of that, and then the companies or whoever will actually handle that, or will you handle that regulation as well? Because I could also see this being a very big target for the crypto space for certain companies that go like, this is could be used very badly. Scams, for example.
Yeah. Again, fascinating question. We really want to be at the platform level, and so a lot of those nuances we honestly probably won't be able to handle, especially immediately. That being said, do we want to make it as easy for our partners as we can? Do we want to provide as much of service as a platform as we can? Yes, without being able to do some of that stuff that will still require some intervention. So yes is the answer. We want to do as much as we can. How far we'll go will depend on the partner. At the end of the day, we see ourselves as a platform that hopefully will make as much easy as possible. But we are really the platform linking into the blockchain. So, really? Nothing? You sure? Favorite color?
All right, we got one last question. Here you go.
Thank you. I want to return to the Ethereum address that we need to input in the first steps, like the second step.
For entry.
Is it like configurable, or for example, can it be entered after someone wins the kitty, not for everyone, for example, who participated in the conference? So you don't need to enter the first steps, and once the winner is recognized, then you need to provide the address, for example.
Both ways are possible. Great question. And to the question about traditional user bases, we can allow you to not require an Ether address, and we can contact the winner to get that address afterwards. You lose a couple of the nice properties like automatic payout and things like that, but it's entirely possible. It's a configuration.
So it's a configuration of the platform.
Correct. Thank you guys. Awesome questions. Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you. I'm going to give a big round of applause for for a second. Just give commentary throughout the rest of the meetup, please. Awesome, guys. So now we're going to make our transition to Balance. Along the way, we're going to give you guys an opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourselves and the projects you're working on. So, I can hand the mic over to Matt, who's going to introduce our first lightning talk, little 1-minute pitches.
Can he?
Yeah.
So this is Kenneth with Freecoin. I don't know if anyone tried the Paroshki, which I still cannot pronounce. But we have Kenneth to thank for that, and he's going to tell us about Freecoin, a grid computing platform, which I'm sure people are curious to know what that means. So we got this. You just unlock the computer, and you'll be up.
So, man, 14K Bitcoin, huh? Yeah, cheers, guys. I know there's a lot of happy people. What's happening with Ethereum, man? Not keeping up with the times?
Yep, people don't understand the value of proof of kitten yet.
Yeah. Proof of kitten will be the game changer.
They'll recognize soon. Totally.
It gives me pause.
Hello everyone, my name is Kinesh Nangiriev. I am the CEO of TVX Game company. You can see my laptop. So we are a game developer from Singapore. We have more than 10 years experience of creating video games. And the problem which brought us here to this solution is that more than 90% of gamers who plays free-to-play games never pays for content. So our platform allows game publisher to monetize this 90% of gamers by running distributed computing on their idle hardware. So this is how it works. Gamers can rent out their idle hardware to our platform. Customers can get distributed computation resources for very good price, and it is payable by Freecoin. So game publishers receive additional revenue by our Freecoin, and they can reward gamers with very unique in-game items.
Everybody give it up for Kenneth with Freecoin.
So, we already have 2 million. Just a little more information.
He brought the food. We can give him
Okay, we already have 2 million gamers connected to our platform, and it will be launched in the first quarter of the next year. And also we have a very strong partner such as IBM We signed with Eastern Europe and Asia, and we have an agreement to cooperate not only for technical issues but also for marketing and sales. So we collected about $1 billion, and now we have a private ratio. So if you have any questions or to join, welcome.
Everybody give it up for Kenneth.
You can tell he's a gamer based on this laptop. All right, so do you guys want to talk about your projects? If you've got stuff to talk about, then
we got one more.
You can make your way over here. Awesome. And who do we have here? Could you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm John Chow, co-founder and CEO of B-Token. We work like back there, so it's pretty cool that I just walked over.
The meetup came to you.
Cool. So at the B-Token, we're building a decentralized Airbnb. The value propositions are pretty simple because Airbnb is a classic case study for decentralization. So first part is we're removing the middleman. We're taking the 15 to 20% commission that Airbnb extracts and reducing it to zero. And the second part is the shared network effects. So for any traditional company, as they grow in valuation, for example, Airbnb from 0 to $30 billion, all of that appreciation is captured by only a select few. It's essentially just the founders and venture capitalists that make that. So when you tokenize any traditional economy, you're able to incentivize both sides of the fence, the guests and the hosts, properly to align and grow the network. So we see that to potentially have network effects to continue growing. And technological side, building a business on top of Ethereum is extremely challenging in its early state right now. So you can imagine that Ethereum is down here in the base layer, decentralized Airbnb is up here. So in between, there's quite a lot of room to grow in terms of technology that we're building what we call an application protocol. So that's separated into three parts. We call them the PAR protocols. So P stands for payment. Essentially, we're building invoicing and escrows. And we're partnering with a popular project called Request Network, and we're really advising each other on how to build that part out. Arbitration stands for conflict resolution and customer service. It's really hard to deal with subjectivity on the blockchain space right now, so we're implementing judging panels that can deal with that. And reputation, working with Uport from Consensus and building out identity and reputation, immutable ratings and reviews. Oh, and to give you guys a little bit of background on our team, I used to lead the security team at Uber, and our entire team is from Google, Facebook, Uber, and Civic. So yeah, we're really excited about this, and I think that's about it.
Everybody give it up for the B-Token. I posted a meetup if anyone has projects they want to talk about. We could be a little more orderly next time. Just reach out on Meetup, let us know. You'll definitely get your time to talk about your project.
And I'd really like to do an organized pitch night pretty soon. So everybody can actually do a little bit of preparation, maybe show up with a couple slides, and you can hear what people are building on in the community, like smaller projects. So on that note, I would love to pitch SF Ethereum to you guys. We really appreciate you guys coming out and all the support. We've thrown quite a few meetups now at this point. They're pretty much bi-monthly, and it's really thanks to community effort. We've had awesome sponsors like Consensus. We've got great communities, a lot of familiar faces. How many people here is this their first meetup? Nice, congrats guys, yeah.
How many people are coming from out of town? I know we had some conferences around, okay. Cool.
Nice, some travelers.
Welcome to San Francisco.
All right, how many people here own ETH? Pretty good.
How many people own IOTA? Is it?
Oh yeah,
okay.
that's a winning
Follow on the hype cycle, good job.
Honestly. We accept ETH, if you're looking to support. We also accept food, which is much appreciated. We accept knowledge and time. If you've got stuff that you think would be valuable to the community that you were interested in talking about, or if you've just got arms that can move things, we really appreciate donating those as well. So if you've got anything that you want to talk about, or any ideas on what you want to help participate with, do you have a comment?
You want to say something right now?
Yeah.
Go for it. Come on up.
Oh,
yeah, let's do it.
Pitch.
No, not.
Okay, just want to talk.
Yeah, no. So I have a question, and this can be answered by anyone here. But so I am I'm a guidance counselor. I work in high school, so I'm in education, and I am hopefully going to be a principal very soon. And so as I am very passionate about this technology and excited to learn more, which is why I came here. I'm actually from New York, so I don't really know a lot of people in the area. But I'm kind of thinking down the road, and anyone can answer this. How do you think that we can incorporate some of this technology and education into our school systems? And are there any companies or organizations that are actually promoting learning this to kids now? Because I really think that this is going to revolutionize our world, and I have a 3-year-old son, and I'm kind of like super forward thinking. So I think it's important that we start. This needs to be taught to our kids, and I'm trying to figure out how I can do that once I'm in a position to do that.
You guys have a project Fathom, right, for education? So that's a consensus formation. Fathom.
Do you want to step over here?
I kind of like playing the background.
Just the voice. Everybody in the
There unfortunately are no like blockchain for kids books yet, but we'll work on it, I guess.
My tip would be buy them a CryptoKitty for Christmas.
That's actually, ownership of digital assets will be a huge part of your children's lives. So might as well get them started.
I would also suggest checking out Blockchain at Berkeley. They're doing a lot of awesome work, a lot of awesome open courseware. So Blockchain at Berkeley, they're really, really active, and I expect that they'll come out with more too.
All right, give it up for the guy coming up on stage and asking a question. Guidance counselor, a lot of good stuff, man. Welcome to San Francisco.
Nicholas, we appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Cool. And one last question: how many of you guys are developers? Any of them? A few of you guys. Cool. Thanks. I'd love to go geek out with you guys here in just a minute after the presentations, of course. All right. So on that note, I think we're ready for our final presentation. Let's get a drum roll going. We've got Griffin from Balanc3 here. Opening the laptop. All right. So Griffin is a Virgo. I don't know. Taurus, my bad.
There we go.
Alright.
We're almost there.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Griffin Emerson. I drive our accounting initiatives at Consensus. I work with a lot of the large accounting firms, a lot of the tokens in the space, advising them on basically having a token sale and going through the process from an accounting perspective. And also drive the Balance project, where we're basically building accounting software for the ecosystem. So a little bit about Balance, and then after this I'm going to make a kind of short presentation, and then I got a couple of my colleagues here that'll come up and join me for some Q&A. Let's see here. So we believe in this concept that a lot of things are going to be digitized one day, that the world, all the assets that we run and operate in are essentially going to be tokenized, or a unique identifier might be stored on the blockchain. And so what we're really doing is we're kind of driving towards this new world where we need to account for all these digital assets that are moving around on all these different on-chains, on all these different kinds of blockchains. And so we're really building, I guess, the foundational layer to read and understand what these underlying assets are and put them in views and perspectives that can be interpreted by accountants and finance professionals and all of you. So what we're building is we're building accounting software, not only for funds, so managing and running and operating your crypto fund, where we do a lot of the back office stuff. Individuals for portfolio management, tax, making sure that you know what to pay for your taxes to the IRS. And then finally, the software we're going to show off today is basically bookkeeping accounting software to run your token sale. It's kind of similar to like a QuickBooks-like solution for the whole ecosystem. And I'll dive more into that here in a second. So some things to kind of consider when having a token sale. These are the kinds of issues we deal with every single day. So most of the time, all of you are probably getting the legal work in place and making sure that your smart contract code has been audited by a technical auditor. But there's a lot to think about from the accounting and finance perspective. So making sure that the entity is structured so you're minimizing the amount of taxes internationally, making sure that you have the right bookkeeping, the valuations of the IP and IT and everything else, and compliance and things like that. And so we help with a lot of the tokens in the space kind of navigate this water as they go to market. So the next thing I'm going to do is kind of show you the Balanc software we have. Let me exit out here. And so I have a little video for all of you, and I'll kind of walk you through the software. So this is our Balanc software. It's similar to like a QuickBooks or a Xero or QuickIn. And essentially what happens is you're seeing on the screen here is you're able to enter in your address, all the addresses and wallets you run and operate out of. We then go ahead and aggregate that information and not only pull in the Ether, but all the tokens that are associated at that address. Similar to kind of a block explorer, but we know the values and all the information because we're going out and scraping all the information on chain. And then what we do is we populate this information in a series of transactions. So we know basically everything that's ever gone through in or out of the specific addresses you give us. And then we allow your bookkeeper or accountant to basically go through and classify each transaction with typical double entry accounting things. So you can mark it as like a payroll expense, it can be some revenue coming in. We allow your bookkeeper or accountant, if you're a token sale or ICO, to go through and classify this information. We're pulling in all the major exchanges and pricing information, and we make it really slick and easy for your bookkeeper and accountant to basically manage your token sale books. It's also very modular, so customizable, so multiple debits and credits, changing pricing. It's all very flexible and designed to do that. What's really cool also about the software, as we're building it out here, and it should go here pretty soon, is we roll this information up to the reports. And so in this case, we just have a demo here, but you'll see the balance sheet and the income statement of any of these ICOs and token sales out in the space. And we're working with, I would say, 30 plus different token sales right now as they're onboarding onto our software at the moment. And what's really cool is this information is going to be publicly accessible to all of you here. We're opening up a public token portal, so in near real time, you're going to be able to see what all these different token sales are spending their money on. So you can, as a token holder, can start to hold that underlying protocol accountable. So you're going to be able to see what they're spending the money on in terms of employees, what if they're buying ads and advertising, what they're doing. And so all of you can start to hold them accountable and basically receive more information. It's pretty cool. It rolls up to the dashboard and a couple other things, and we're building out all those features to give basically the market more information and more transparency around these underlying protocols and tokens. Something else just kind of mentioned here real quickly, we also drive the Accounting Blockchain Coalition. Informally, it's the largest group of accountants, Big 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, as well as law firms and technology companies that have come together. And we're looking at everything from the tax treatment here in the US and internationally, as well as figuring out the accounting treatment of how do you actually value these cryptocurrencies, tokens, digital assets. At Consensus, we basically deal with a lot of these issues every single day, and this is kind of our bread and butter on the Balanc team. So finally, I'll go ahead and just put up some information. If you have any questions, you can certainly contact me, Griffin Anderson at consensus.net. Happy to go through and answer those questions. If you have a token sale and you're interested in testing the software, we'd love to have you come onboard it. I got a couple of my colleagues coming up here, Brad and Max, and they can help answer some Q&A, and we can have open questions about anything about the Balanc product. So,
any questions for Griffin and the team?
Let's give a round of applause.
Trend spotting?
Could you repeat the question for the audience? Here, just say.
By trend spotting, I mean, you know, we're all in these like Facebook groups where all of us are like, oh, what's the next big token that I should be investing in? Since this is all transparent and it sort of shows what people are investing in, is that sort of like what you're aiming to be? Is like this platform for people to understand who's investing in what?
I would say we kind of see ourselves as a platform to give more information to the token holders, probably post-sale. So you'll be able to see obviously the financial statements, similar to how public companies release their financial statements to EGR and the SEC, so we can all hold them accountable, right? Similar stuff. We're going to provide a bunch of financial analytics about when tokens are released, how they run and operate. And so basically give the market more information on what these protocols are actually doing and what these teams are actually doing. I'll let Brad and Max add some clarity to.
Yeah, so there's definitely some issues around accountability, transparency in the space. You see a lot of companies raising chunks of money, 3.5 billion raised to date, if not more. And what are they doing with this money? What are they spending it on? Company at inception raises $20, $30, $40 million. You need some accountability. You want to know what kind of expenses they're making. Are they taking out massive ads in the Wall Street Journal? Are they partying on a boat in the middle of Cancun? So this is sort of, the concept is we want to make it so they can actually track all the business operations, right? They're a business. So once you track all those operations, then we give them the option to be financially transparent. So you can actually make those statements flow through to an external website. And from there, token holders, general actors in the blockchain ecosystem can see those statements. So if they're transparent, then they probably, they want the ecosystem to know what's going on. It's probably a good sign.
And just to kind of build off that, besides kind of streamlining the internal accounting thing, we definitely see investors and funds looking at this data and trying to identify patterns, looking at burn rate, looking at progress, and using that to inform investment decisions.
How do you guys think we can incentivize companies to opt into something like that? Obviously, presenting transparency and actually, carrying out transparency are very different.
I think the best way would be kind of voting with your dollars, so to speak. So I think if the community expects and kind of demands tokens to reveal and be transparent, then you're going to see tokens who decide to be transparent as a means to kind of boost their value as like a kind of a marketing thing to an extent.
I think there's already a lot of companies that want to be transparent. It's just there's not a really easy way to deliver the information, or a standard way at least. Good example of companies that actually post their wallets and list the details of each transaction, the purpose of the transactions. You just don't really know how to find it. You're not going to go through, look through 150 transactions and compile their financial statements for them. So it gives them a way to act on that transparency trend that they want to be a part of. I think the majority of them already do. So giving them a medium to actually be able to create the books and show transparency, to incentivize more of them. I think once you have the trend started and everyone, I guess a little bit of FOMO, maybe a little bit of, if everyone else is doing it and it shows good faith, then we should probably be doing it as well.
I think that's all very good.
So from these financial statements, can you further abstract out whether, just like a rating basically of whether the company is complying? Because basically, is it on the token holder to unearth whether they are doing what they're saying they're doing or not, or is there something that you're providing that's just an easy way to get the point?
So it's still up to the token holder to disclose all the information, right? So they still have to share with us basically all the addresses and wallets and bank accounts that they use and exchanges, right? And if they omit that stuff and that information, then we aren't going to have a perfect picture, right? But what we are doing is kind of in the process of thinking through what the audit tools are and proof of addresses and proof of wallets to prove that that these underlying entities actually own these addresses, proving that they have control of it, things like that. We're re-looking at how to prove to make sure that the information that we are displaying is actually accurate and 100% provable. And then I think it's important to note too that even though we're presenting information as financial statements, it may not be necessarily the right way to look at the performance of an underlying protocol, right? And so there's many ways to value protocols. Obviously, we're looking at the transaction throughput of the protocol and the amount of tokens that are circulating and trying to look at metrics and the markets that they're trying to disrupt, like distributed storage space and the cloud providers. But I think we're in the business of trying to figure out what that is, what that piece of information is that makes it easy for everybody here in the audience to value these underlying protocols. And then just a quick tangent, even though it's very much about transparency about what we do, some token holders don't want to share that information publicly for whatever reason, and they're still very easily able to use our software just to keep track of their internal bookkeeping and recording and financial reporting, right? And ultimately, I think our main mission is to make it easy for these companies and individuals to run and operate in crypto. So pay their employees in crypto, invoicing in crypto, and just building an ecosystem where these businesses could run eventually one day all fully digital.
So I have a question. I know that you guys are focusing in on ICO companies initially. So your main
token sales, yeah.
Token sales, yeah. The token generation events. Yeah, we don't let SEC in these meetups, don't worry. Do you guys have any plans to move more towards consumer accounting?
Yeah,
where,
so
people can keep track of their own balances?
Yeah, so the platform we're really building, the foundation, is being designed to be used not only for individuals, for portfolio management and taxing, so you're able to keep track of your own performance in your own portfolio, but also funds and other institutions in the space, like miners, exchanges, things like that. So we're building out this whole foundational base layer. The first vertical we're kind of tackling right now is this token sales space, but yeah, everything that we're building is designed for these other customer segments.
That was pretty good. That was good.
Any last questions? All right, then let's give it a round of applause for the Balanc team. Coming all the way out from Brooklyn for us. So awesome. We appreciate everyone who came, the speakers, the all of the attendees, of course. I love you guys. The sponsors. The venue, everyone. It takes a village, and I think that it's really awesome that we can take this really intricate online network and bring it offline, and we can actually make this face-to-face and associate the name with the wallet address, so to speak. So I really appreciate you guys being here. We may be doing a Christmas party, so stay tuned. A Cryptness party. After that, we'll be back up and running after New Year's. So thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate your support. We are moving the after meetup, to House of Shields, just across the street here. So we'll have a whole party leading the way. Feel free to grab some swag on your way out. I saw some sick Balanc stickers. If you have any pizza left, grab some of that.
Beer too.
Grab a beer.
Enjoys beer.
Pocket beer. Yeah, please take some of the pizza.
Thanks everybody for coming out.
Thank you guys.